The Artist Life podcast is brought to you by Real Creative Heart. Heavy the head that reps the crown. With love, your greatness is found. So rep your crown.
Live from Greensboro, North Carolina, Arts is Life.
Welcome to the Art is Life podcast with your host, Russell C. Holt, where we sit down with artists from all career fields and we discuss their perspectives on their art and what it means to them in life. So sit back, have fun, and enjoy the ride. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Art is Life. As you know, I'm your host, Russell C. Holt, and I'm joined today with another wonderful teacher of mine who specializes in the film, acting on camera. Very insightful, informative teacher during my time here at UNCG. And he's also still in the industry as well. He's an actor as well when he's not teaching and giving us his insight and everything. He's a little modest and a little shy, a little bashful. That's why I guess he likes to be behind the camera and not in front of it when he's teaching us. But yeah, I'd like to introduce you guys to my man, the Flan Man, aka Micheal Flannery. Thank you, Micheal Flannery, for joining me today. I appreciate it. I know it was a struggle.
No.
Or I should say, you were selling yourself short. I guess.
Well.
Yeah. But yes, thank you.
No, it's nice to be here, for sure.
Cool. So for those who don't know you, if you just want to give us a little brief background into what you do, how you became a teacher and an actor.
Sure, yeah. I won't bore you with too much of my early life, but I was born up right outside New York City and came down to North Carolina when I was pretty young, but still had a bunch of family in New York, so I was kind of back and forth. And then went to college at Wake Forest University, which is down the road in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Good basketball team, good football team now. And I was a business major and was graduating, and the summer between my junior and senior year at Wake Forest, I'd gotten a job offer from a Wall Street firm up there. Kind of thought of what I wanted to do, and I came back for my senior year with the job offer in hand. So it was kind of a luxury, and I got to think about my life and all that, and realized that the degree I'd gotten and where I was going was not where I wanted to be. So I ended up auditioning and somehow getting into the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which is a big professional conservatory type acting school in New York. So I spent 2 years in New York and graduated from there, and then spent several years beating around trying to be an actor, and I worked some, which was nice. I lived in LA and I lived in New York and I lived some back in North Carolina and commuted to places. And then after about 10 years of doing that, I decided that I would like to do some teaching. So I came back to, you have to be terminal degree to teach in college, or at least to get tenured. So I came back and got my MFA in acting, and I've been teaching ever since.
Nice. So what was it that drew you to teaching? Why was teaching the route to go?
Yeah, I think, well, it's a multi-answer, I guess, but I mean, a big part of it was I had my first acting teacher when I got to New York, and I went to acting conservatory with all these people who'd been acting for years and years and years, and I think I was in a play in the 8th grade, because a bunch of people said you should do this play, but I didn't do any theater through college. So I got into this conservatory, and I was my first teacher, and she was just a huge, and continues to be a huge influence on my life, in my life. And the way that she communicated and the way that she inspired me, I kind of thought that that's something that I'd like to do at some point. I also don't know that I'm totally suited to the actor lifestyle, 100%. You know, when I was acting, and then you go months without working, and I don't know that I don't know that suited me. Too much free time on my hands or something like that.
Right.
So I think that was part of it, and I think that I got married and I had 3 children, and I think that even if I'd been doing, and I was working some, but even if I'd been working even more, I don't know if that would have been the lifestyle I wanted when I raised my own children. So I think the planets kind of aligned, and it worked out well, and so yeah. Yeah.
Now, when you went into teaching, obviously acting is something you still wanted to do. How did you get into the camera, like acting for the camera aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, from immediately upon graduating from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, for whatever reason, I gravitated towards film acting. I mean, I've got a few professional stage credits, but I've got lots more film and television credits. So, yeah.
Would you like to name some of those for those Forrest Gump fans out there?
I knew where that was going. Yeah. So, the biggest thing I've done is I was in Forrest Gump. I had 2 words, seats taken. I was in an Oscar movie, and yes. Now, the angle they kept is mostly at the back of my head. I'm not very visible as such in it, but it was a lovely thing, and it was. It's nice to be able to say that I did that. But
just to piggyback off that, you had lines, and then you were still talking about how that movie was in the 90s?
93?
Yeah,
something like that.
Getting residuals still?
I'm still getting residuals,
So
yes.
it's like, for 2 words.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've done, I did a soap opera, General Hospital, for a week or so, and I did episodic television. I did a show called In the Heat of the Night. Done a television pilot. I've done movie in the last couple of years called Shifting Gears. It was on, I think, Showtime or something like that. I've done some mini-series. Back in the 80s and 90s when there was something called the TV Movie of the Week, I've done a few of those. Worked with Cicely Tyson in one. It was kind of cool. I didn't get any scenes with her, but she was in it. So yeah.
Yes. You do have one famous guy that was a friend of yours. We'll talk about that later if you want to tell. You can tell them the story. I won't. I'll leave that up to you. But with all of that information and all of that experience, how would you say that influenced your style of teaching for the camera, if any? And how do you approach it going forward now?
I'm a big believer in just watching something is incredibly valuable. It's a funny thing about being an acting teacher now, and you're a grown-up man, so I don't really consider you like one of the younger people or something like that. But for me, whether it was when I was in class or when I started to work as an actor in film and television, I never wanted to sit in my trailer. I wanted to watch people do it, because I think in that watching it, you're like, oh my gosh. And I think that's the same thing in acting class now. Nobody wants to watch the scene work anymore. Everybody just wants to act. But I think the value is in watching when you're, So I think that my teaching was greatly influenced by just watching people do it, to watch, my scene, my seat's taken, as short as that was, I get to watch Tom Hanks work for a day.
Right.
And see him, and like Robert Zemeckis, the director, gave him a note. I mean, I don't know if criticize is the right word, but he gave him something like, hey, can you do it more like this? And Tom Hanks he just won the Oscar for Philadelphia. He's a star, and he just absolutely, and just took the note and did it. So I think that I'm greatly influenced by watching. But I think I'm still, and maybe it's just me finding a way to sit on my ass and do nothing, but I'm still, I watch an enormous amount of television still, not much network, but I'm watching a lot of British crime drama right now on BritBox and Acorn and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just to watch what they do and how they do it, I think is terribly influential for me. So I think I hope that I just kind of had watched other people, watched what worked, what didn't work, and I think that was the biggest influence for me.
Yeah. Now, are you in the camp of theater actors are like theater acting is separate from camera acting, or acting is acting, or
No, I think acting is acting, but I also think that there are different styles. But I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know that I'd want to go to a film acting school. And maybe it'd work out great. I don't know. And if they're teaching the other stuff, that's great too. But I mean, I think that, look, I mean, it's not my definition. It's Stanford Meisner or whatever, or whoever. But, acting is living truthfully in a set of imaginary circumstances. I think that's the same thing on film or, to me, the biggest difference is the microphone. I really do think that's. I mean, people talk about the video and all this stuff, and I guess that's, I recognize that's big. But the biggest difference is that if you and I are supposed to be having a conversation and it's a film, I need to talk to you in the exact tone of voice I would talk to you based on the fact that you're 18 inches or 3 feet from me, not like I need to project to the back row of the theater.
Right. You mentioned something in class about theater being the actor's medium, film being the director's medium.
Right.
What made you come to that conclusion, or was that something that was told to you, or just something that you were noticing as you were going through your?
I think I read that in a Michael Caine book, to be truthful to you. But I mean, to me, what he meant there was that, and I do agree with this, that I can, as a director, I can give you 18,000 notes as on stage, but still every night you're going to get out there, and I can fire you, I guess, but you're still going to do it.
Right.
As long as I haven't fired you, you're still going to do it how you want to do it.
Right.
Film and television, because I'm the editor, the director's, going to have the final say. So it's like you can, we talked about what, I was in Last of the Mohicans, the movie with Daniel Day-Lewis that was directed by Michael Mann, but I got edited out. And I've been edited out of something else too. It's like, it's you can do whatever you want to do, but in the end, they're serving the movie. And they're gonna do what they want to do.
Yeah, I was just looking at like an article yesterday, and they were talking about that, about like I think it was like 13 actors that either their role got cut or shortened, or like they got completely replaced, or
right.
And it's like like as an actor, like it's kind of messed up to like how do you like handle those situations where like you do the work and then you getting all excited and then you watch the film and it's not what you
it is. So it's in the end, it's the story the director wants to tell, and you've given them pieces of the puzzle, but they might put together the puzzle and your piece might not make it.
Right. Yeah. So that's frustrating. It can be at least.
Yeah. On the other hand, it's also, I think you can wipe your hands from it and say, somebody can say, that movie was terrible that you were in, and you're like, I didn't have anything to do with it.
Right. At least you got paid.
Yeah, I got paid, and I did what I was supposed to do, and they edited it away that I'm always really careful, especially because I'm not doing a lot of starring roles, but I'm all telling people, hey, watch this thing I'm in, because if I haven't seen it yet, because I don't know what it looks like.
Right. Do you watch the stuff that you are in? Are you one of those or do you not like watching yourself?
No, I'll watch it the first or second time. Yeah, yeah. But like I'm not going back and watching stuff that I did.
Yeah.
And no, that's no. But I'm also not. Well, I know some people can't see that, can't look at themselves. I'm not like that's. I mean, I don't think I've ever liked it a ton.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be like moments I'm like, oh my gosh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
For the most part, I'm like, oh, wish I'd changed this, wish I'd changed that.
So when you're teaching and you're still out there pursuing acting.
A little bit.
How do you find the balance or decide what to go out for and to work with your life?
Right. I mean, I think for me, and it's got to be different for every single person, but for me, when I decided to go back to school and teach, that became the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now for me, it's professionally, can I can this fit into my schedule? And it's not to say that I turn down many auditions, because I don't know that I spend as much time with them as I would if I wasn't already have a full-time job. I mean, I auditioned for something this morning. Just did a quick self-tape.
Does that help you just to even the auditioning in general just helps with staying sharp as an actor and with your teaching, do you think?
I think it helps me auditioning. Maybe it'd help me if I taught an auditions class, which I don't want to, because I don't think I'm I think I'm a better actor than I am an auditioner. Okay. I'm not saying I'm a great actor, but I'm really not a good auditioner. I think that auditioning is a skill.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to touch base a little bit on that? Because some people might think, because I've heard this before, auditioning is the job. That's and auditioning is a skill. Auditioning is the most important thing compared to getting the job, because when you get the job, you can relax, they like you enough to pay you or want to involve you in this. So, but that audition is kind of like taking tests. I personally, I don't think I was the best test taker, but I could get good grades in school as well. So it was one of those things.
Yeah.
So you want to touch bit how
Yeah, well, I do think it's. I think it's. I don't think it, and maybe it does. Maybe it has more to do with acting than I think it does, and I'd be better at auditioning if I thought that way. But I think it's a really. Think it's a different skill. I think it's more imagination. I like the acting part that you're giving 100%, I'm giving 100%, and we're on the set. It doesn't have to be so. Yeah, I mean the set's wherever the set is.
Yeah.
But you get into the audition and you're supposed to be. I think today I auditioned for something and I was supposed to be the role was of the guy was working in a factory, fixing a machine. Well, I had a screwdriver that I had, and I was fixing the air. I think some people are really pretty good at that, and they can. And maybe that's part of acting, is being able to buy into the lie of it. I'm not great at buying into the lie of a lot of things unless I've gotten a chance to work on it some and stuff like that.
Do you think the auditioning is more challenging because compared to being on set or on stage or something, you have a director as a safety net to tell you, to steer you or clear, reel you in if necessary, whereas auditioning, you don't know
what they want.
Right, you don't know what they want.
Yeah.
You don't know if you should make, you obviously should make a choice, have choices, but it's a slippery slope and a thin line sometimes, depending on what it is, and then when props are involved, and it can be a lot.
Yeah, I think auditioning is quite a bit of self-confidence, and I'm not even saying that the people have to be the most self-confident, but you have to fake the most self-confidence, and I don't think that I'm great at that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I do think it's with the props. It's I think today I felt I think I did decent at this audition, but I think I felt kind of stupid with the screwdriver screwing into the air, and I think some people would just be like that. And it's nothing to them.
Yeah. It's kind of just
I think
committing to the truthfulness of whatever's going on.
Yeah,
and
or it's being comfortable.
Yeah.
I think a lot about I play a lot of tennis, and sometimes I get too thinking about my forehand or my backhand or like that. And I was talking to the pro at the tennis club that I play at and stuff, and he said, "Your job in tennis is to make the other person uncomfortable and to make yourself comfortable." And I was thinking, that's kind of life, isn't it? As an actor, my job is to make myself feel comfortable.
Right.
And so if I'm auditioning, if I'm comfortable doing the audition, then I'm going to be better.
Yeah, and that's all you can do is control yourself, because you can't know if you're going to get the job or not, because even if you were the best, or if you had a great audition, so many different other factors.
Yeah. And I think the people who at least feign confidence can kind of come into there and just this is me. And I'm not saying, I think that's short-sighted to think that they are really totally self-confident in real life, because you and I both know a lot of actors who are beyond neurotic, but who are really successful, because I think somehow in that moment of auditioning, they can fake it.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I might have my life might be in total ruins. I might be totally worried about this or that, but in the 45 seconds or 2 minutes I'm going to audition for this movie, I'm going to be like,
right,
perfect. You know, hey. So, yeah.
Nice. So, did you want to talk about your little fun story? If you want.
Yeah. So, when I was so after I graduated from acting school in New York, and I moved out to LA and lived there for a year, and then there's a huge writer's strike. Huge. This would have been 1988 to make me just how old I am.
Before I was born.
Before you were born, yeah. Before most everybody listening to this was born. Before the idea of a podcast ever happened. So the big writer's strike hit, and so like everything production in LA just kind of shut down, and I decided that I didn't want to live out in LA with nothing. I was already struggling because it's my graduating from school, and I'd done a soap opera for a little bit, and that was it when I was out there. So I came back I put my car in storage and gave up my apartment, and what little furniture I had I lent to somebody or something like that, and I came back to North Carolina to kind of wait it out, and it turned out that there was some movie shooting in North Carolina at the time, so I got an agent, and the first audition they sent me on was for a TV movie like we were talking about before. And that movie was about this town in, I think they set it in North Carolina. It was really supposed to be in Pennsylvania, I think, but I think they moved the setting to North Carolina. And it was about some local hooligans in this town who like bullied the Amish people that lived in the town, and they threw rocks at the Amish buggies. And so these hooligans one night go out and do that to have fun, and one of the rocks goes through the window and hits a baby and kills the baby. And the town brings them or they get charged and have to go to trial. But because the town has always been ugly to the Amish people, it looks like we're going to get off, which is not good. So I read for the original role I read for was like one day. It was like a guy who was they thought he was one of the suspects in the truck that hurt these people, that killed the baby, but it turns out it's not. So I read for that, and when I read for that, I got called back, and when I read for that one, the producer said, "Hey, can you go get one of the lead, one of the actual bully kids who does the killing, whatever like that?" And I read for that, and it's my first audition for a movie ever. And I booked it, and I booked that role, booked one of the roles. So it was these 4 local hooligans who, I'm doing all this to get to the fact that I'm like making this way too long. It's good.
You need the setup.
Yeah, you do. Yes. So
by the way, this is what he told us like one of our first classes when he started teaching us, and yeah.
Brad Pitt ends up being my friend in the movie that we did it together. So in 1988, I spent a month on location doing a film with Brad Pitt. Before he was Brad Pitt. I mean, he was always still Brad Pitt, but before Thelma and Louise.
Before you knew who he was.
Yes, before you. Yes. Now he'd already worked some, and he had a nice career already. I'm not famous, but he'd like done a ton of work that year. He's a. And we're not in touch anymore. We kept in touch for a year or two afterwards, and he was invited to my wedding and some stuff like that. But he's a really sweet, decent human being, and I think I probably told you guys, class, I mean, we would walk down the street in this tiny little town we were filming in, and this is before he was famous, and like people would stop, men, women, anything, and just turn and look at him because he is that beautiful in person. Like he kind of glows. So yeah, so that's
nice.
Yeah, and so we did this movie together, and what just a really nice, fun human being. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So how important is that to be nice and just a good person on set, or just in your career in general, like in the acting space or in the art space? because some people aren't always, some people aren't like that. And sometimes you get people on a bad day, but then some others are just genuinely not good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you have to. I mean, there's this idea of. I mean, I think some actors are not the most social. That's fine. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be super friendly or whatever like that. And I think sometimes you're on a movie and the star of the film, who's a huge deal, doesn't take the time to stop and speak to every single. I mean, why? I mean, if they have that time, that's lovely, and if they feel comfortable doing that, that's fine. But I don't think it should be that. But as far as being a bad human being, I think it's just kind of a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But I think if you're that great at it, at acting, they might put up with it for a while. I mean, they need you to show up, know your lines, and not do anything that's illegal or something like that. And I think for years they probably put up with illegal stuff. As long as you were that good, they're not going to do that anymore. I just saw this thing today that the new Aziz Ansari movie has been stopped. Like they halted production, and that somebody's made an accusation against Bill Murray. That's all the article, or much of the article I saw said. So I mean, I think in life in general, it's great to be good to people. I think as an actor, don't do anything that's going to hold up the set. Don't do, and just remember that lighting person that you're being mean to is going to be the one that lights you, and all of a sudden you've got 3 chins instead of 1. So I think that it behooves you to be nice to people.
Right.
But I also just think that, and your first job is always, if you've done well for a director before, and you've done your work and they've enjoyed working with you, and they have another movie coming up, I mean, they're gonna think of you again because it was a good experience and you were nice, and especially if you're on location doing a film. Like if you're going to be in, New Mexico for 6 weeks together doing a movie, they want decent people. If you're in New York and you can kind of go to your home every night and come back, maybe you don't have to be so likable.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to be stuck somewhere with you for a long time, boy, be nice to the crew. They work harder than you. The actors are the last person they're the last person to get there and the first person to leave. And that crew has worked so hard, and so I try to be, and it's not even that much effort, to be honest with you, because they've just worked so much and they're doing so much. It's just, easy for me, I guess, because of who they are, to be appreciative.
Right. Yes, always be nice to the janitors as well as the CEOs.
Yes, I just think that, it's just, I think that's really important.
So when it comes to teaching, what's the most fulfilling thing for you teaching the acting for camera, and what would you say is a challenge for you when it comes to that?
That's a good question. It sounds cheesy or whatever. If somehow in the universal scheme of things, if I've managed to help you, help someone be more aware of their self-worth as a human being, then I've done a good job. That to me is the bottom line. It's not about the work or this or that. It's like, I think that if I played some small role in helping someone be more convinced of their inherent self-worth, then that's a win. So that's the thing. The negative, I think, and it's only, I'll just go where I am today. I think the world's changing so fast right now that for me, like, I question what I have left to offer. Not to be too much of a downer, but I'm 58, and like
My father's age.
yeah, yeah, I mean, I think like, am I still, for lack of a better word, cool enough or hip enough to have people relate to me enough to, like with your class or something else, like I want to use an example of an actor, but it's like Denzel or, it's De Niro or they might know who Viola Davis is, I hope, but there's or Stephen McKinley Anderson or whoever like that. It's like and they're like, well, what about the Marvel movie? And I'm like, I hadn't seen that. So I think that I think the world's changing so fast, and maybe my parents or my grandparents said the same thing when they were coming over from Ireland or whatever. But I do think that it's a big question. Like, do I have anything left to offer to people who are just have a different mindset, different thing? That's tough right now.
Right. So, do you feel the need to have to change and maneuver to fit that younger generation to relate to them, or are you still confident enough to?
No, I would say that I'm trying to, but that's a struggle too. It's like I watched that movie and I'm like, I didn't like that, I didn't understand it. Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm trying to. And the university's doing a pretty good job of having us keep up with, we do a lot of workshops and this and that. It's not easy, like I'm here, I'm whining about like how hard it is to be old. But yes, I'm trying, but I also think, we're sort of who we are. I'm not sure how much I'm ever really going to change. But yeah.
But just having that awareness to acknowledge that is.
I'm very. There's
yes. A lot of people who wouldn't even have that.
Yes. Yes. Sometimes I wish I was less self-aware about some things. I might not worry. I might not wake up at 5 a.m. worrying about stuff. But yes. I am aware of that. I'm aware of the world changing, and I'm aware of sometimes I'll say stuff now, and I'm like, well, that sounds like that sounds like a 58-year-old man talking or something like that. So yeah.
So with that being said, what keeps you going, motivated to continue to teach and continue to act when you can?
Right. I think it is those moments where, of teaching, it's like, well, it's you asking me to be on the podcast. It's like, okay, well, something, that, maybe something I said mattered. I think that's that's that. And then, acting's a weird thing to me. Like, I know a lot of people want to act and change the world, which is lovely, and I'm not dismissing that. I'm more of the thing like if I was a painter, I don't think you have to paint every picture about some life-changing. I think you could paint a picture of dirt, and if it was beautiful and meaningful, then you've contributed something. It's in the painting of it, I think, more. It's in the acting of it. Mm-hmm. I enjoy the actual doing it. Like, I flipping some channel the other day, and somebody was saying like, I want to be an actor because I want to represent this and that, and that's so great and cool. That's not why. I don't want to speak for anybody.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. I have trouble speaking for I just
because everyone has different reasons to why they do certain things. It doesn't just because it's different from someone else's and they're trying to change the world and stuff like that doesn't mean that yours is invalid. It's still valid to you, and as long as you're truthful with it and you believe wholeheartedly with it, doesn't matter about if it's not the same as.
And sometimes I don't want to know why somebody does something. I think that's a little bit more generational now. Like, people want to understand. And I'm a big fan of the TV show Lost. And I'm not even sure today I can tell you exactly what it means. And I think that's kind of great. I think there's a great need amongst the younger generation to explain everything. I guess I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit more to the mystery of it.
Yeah, it's like looking at a piece of art,
Right.
and everyone's going to have different
Right.
interpretations of
Yes.
it. So it shouldn't have like a one
Right.
concrete
Yes.
answer.
Yes.
Like it's up to
Yeah.
for your
Yeah.
interpretation, imagination.
People are like, I wish they'd tell me what that song was about, and I'm like, don't tell me what that song was about, because
Yeah.
I like to think about what it was about to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, what advice would you give students or actors or people that are looking to teach and act in the film and stuff like that? I know you have great insight when you're on set, but how about when we get to get to that point or to get into teaching? What
Yeah.
advice would you give someone?
Yeah. I mean, I can only give the advice I'd give myself, which I don't listen to often. But it's, the first thing I think is that comes to my mind is it's a marathon, not a sprint. I think that way too much when I was young and all that, and maybe still today, but certainly way too much when I was young, like it had to happen now, here, I had to be validated at every moment, and that the acting thing had to happen, boom. I did my first big movie, and then I did a couple of other little things like within the month of it, and then it didn't work for like 9 or 10 months, and I was devastated. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? So I do think it's like, let it have time to breathe. That if you're thinking that it's a 100-yard dash, it can't be. It's a lifelong thing that you're figuring out. That's one. And then as far as being an actor or a teacher or maybe anything else, a tennis player, whatever, your self-worth has truthfully nothing to do with that. Different people are going to come at it from different points of view, but I would say that your self-worth is bestowed upon you by a power bigger than I won't get to whatever. But yeah, I mean, by your creator. I do. I think that there's an inherent you have inherent value as a human being coming from God. And if you are tied up if it becomes tied up in, oh, I got this job, or I beat this tennis player, and this is just things I struggle with, so I can only speak for me, that, if you don't recognize that, especially for being an actor, if you don't recognize that your worth is not falling or rising on your audition that day or your work that day, then I think if you're taking it that, I just think you're setting yourself. I set myself up and that happens to me plenty of times, and has happened, and may continue to. That it's just a road to misery.
Yeah. Now you said you were a very good tennis player, but
I didn't say I was very good. I said I played a lot, maybe.
Okay, never mind. I was going to ask, was that ever a thought to try to go?
No, no. It's kind of funny that, and I didn't. I played a little bit growing up until I was 13 or 14, and then I really liked basketball a lot more. So I spent my time concentrating on basketball, which was never, that's one of those things that's boy, that was a terrible idea, because I'm just not, I'm 5'9", and that's just, I'm 5'9", and I'm not Muggsy Bogues or Spud Webb. Those are old names that nobody here will know what they mean. But, and then I came back to tennis at 34 or 35.
Okay.
But, somebody asked me the other day, one of the students asked me, what would you do if you weren't a teacher? What do you wish you'd done if you weren't acting or teaching or whatever? And I was like, well, I wish maybe a tennis pro. But they were so on the tour, and I was like, no, at a club, just not like a professional like that, but the person at the club that feeds balls and helps people learn how to play and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I would have had to have played a lot more and been a lot better growing up than I was. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, art is life. It's what we're here for. In your opinion, how important is art in life, and do you consider them together, separate, or what's your thoughts on how important it is to you in your life?
I think it's yes. I think art is. I mean, I think that movies or TV or the stage or whatever, as an expression of the human condition, is hugely, hugely important to me. I mean, I think that and it can be something as meaningful as Lost, but it can be anything else. It's like if you're letting me look at what humanity is and giving me some either thought about it or comfort from it, for it, or that yeah, I think for me, the way that life's been communicated to me through film and television or the stage has been incredibly important. I look back on these movies that I've seen, and it's funny. I'm not a big rewatcher of movies, which is kind of crazy. 'Cause I have these movies that I love, but I don't want to watch them again.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Depending, unless it's like a comedy or something or something that's on TV, I might watch a little bit. But yeah, I'm the same way. It's just interesting.
It hit me at one point in my life and meant so much to me, and I'm afraid if I go back and watch it now, I'll be like, well, that's not nearly as good as I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, gosh, I mean, some of the stuff, and you're right. I mean, I watch my kids and I watch Home Alone every Christmas. I can watch that.
Yeah, I think for me also, I think it's more so like so many movies I haven't seen that I still have to watch, and then there's so many movies coming out, and it's all this content. It's so much content, so you gotta.
But I think, I
gotta be in a mood.
Yeah, I think it's. I think that's the beauty of film and television or stage work or stage or going to see a play or something. I was, you say like I ended up. I was business major at Wake Forest, and how did I end up in acting school after that and all that stuff. But what I didn't say is after my freshman year at Wake Forest, when I was working up in New York over the summer, I went and saw my uncle had a big job up there, and got free tickets to a lot of plays on Broadway, and he took me to see a play called Master Harold and the Boys, with an actor named Zeljko Ivanek, who's you'd recognize, and then Zakes Mokai was a very famous South African actor, and Danny Glover was in it. And it was 2.5 hours, no intermission, and it was about apartheid in South America, in South Africa. Sorry, it's about apartheid in South Africa, and I mean, I was mesmerized. I mean, and here I am, this college-age white student, and all this stuff, and I don't think I knew that much about. I mean, I knew South Africa wasn't a great place, but I didn't realize that 95% of the population was controlled by 5% of the population. I didn't realize, and in the play, the boys, the African servants who work in the tea shop that his parents owns are much more like parents to him than his own father. And to watch them interact, it was. I mean, I think now, how'd I end up being an actor? I think seeing that play somehow planted a seed in me because it was so devastating and like provoking to me, thought provoking that I never quite got it out of. I still have it in my mind today, and it's a hard thing to say now because people like, give me a play you love, and I'll mention that as one of the plays I love. And they did it a few years ago somewhere, and now that, thank goodness, South Africa is not in the same place it was. It has a true government now. But so if you watch the play now, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So people go and see it, and I saw that, Michael, it was okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you can't understand it because it's not the place it was when you saw it, when I saw it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they still should be able to appreciate and understand that it's part of history and stuff like that.
But it's a period piece now.
Yeah.
It's like going to see Rent now. People go see Rent, and I mean, the whole point of Rent was that AIDS was basically a death sentence. Mm-hmm. If you were HIV positive, then you were going to die. Mm-hmm. Now you go see Rent, and with the antiretrovirals and all that stuff, and people are living with AIDS. The play doesn't quite have the pop that it did back then.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, Mike Flan Man, I appreciate your time.
Well,
I
thank
just got
you.
2 more questions for you.
Yep.
So what's next for you? Do you plan on ever going back and doing some theater, or is it strictly film, or what you got? What's on your agenda going forward, if anything? Outside of teaching, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think if, the professional theater here in Greensboro is kind of on hiatus right now. If they ever, and I've done 3 or 4 shows there maybe or something like that over the years. So I think that would be lovely. But that's, there's no feeling to me like being on a film set. And I guess that's just the way that I was made, is that, I mean, I like being on stage, and people say, like, I don't want to do a film because you don't get that rush of people clapping for you, and I get that, and that's great that that's somebody's experience. For me, when I hear, rolling sound, speed, action, that gives me a feeling like nothing. So, I mean, I hope that I'll still do some film and television. And like I said, I auditioned this morning for something, so who knows. But in the immediate thing, we finish up school in a week, and then exams are over in about 10 days, and I'm going to play as much tennis as I possibly can until August when we come back to school.
Nice. You're also filming and making a short film with some of the students
Yep.
here. It will be premiering next fall.
Next August, yeah.
Yeah, in fall.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we commissioned, I mean, I think UNCG is, got a lot of great things, and one of them is I think we're pretty forward thinking, and I think that, I know that a few years ago, 2-3 years ago, we had this thought that, like, what if, as well as doing the plays we do per season, what if we started doing some type of web series or a collection of short films? And they decided to commission 3 screenwriters to write short films, and the screenwriters were people of minority population.
Nice.
So minority representation in the screenwriting, and so we were supposed to film like in August of 2020, and then COVID like that semester. So it's basically been put off every semester. Mm-hmm. We had the 3 films, and so we finally decided to do it this semester, and we're doing it. And I even pushed it to the end of the semester, so to get everybody as away from COVID as possible. Mm-hmm. And so 3 short films, 5, 10, 15 minutes, with student actors, and we're filming tonight at like 8 o'clock. As soon as it's an outside scene, which scares the hell out of me because I don't film, or I don't act, I don't direct much outside. So we'll see how if you can see anything. If it's but it's a good thing, and I think we should do it. I think we will do it every year from now on. I don't think you can have. You can do whatever you want, but I think it's difficult now for me to imagine a place with serious acting training that isn't recognizing.
Right.
I mean, there's so much streaming content that's needed now. I mean, there's just. I mean, it's just.
COVID proved that too.
Right.
Like even with the theaters, and that's why Hamilton.
Yep.
And now they're going to be probably doing more of that
Yep.
as well. So it's good, and
Yep.
hopefully it'll provide more opportunities both in the theater as well as on screen.
Yeah. I think that. I mean, I just think there's just like, there's every time I turn around, there's a new streaming network that. Shooting a new thing.
Every cable channel
yes,
have one.
Absolutely, and so
cable all over, but you pick and choose and still have to pay the
right.
same amount.
Yeah. So I hope that from every year from now on we'll do, and I think we will do some type of film project. I shouldn't direct all of them, but yeah.
Well, you get to start it off.
Yes, I'll start it off.
You get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So what are the names of them?
One is called The Rules.
Rules.
And one is called Popsicle Stand.
Popsicle Stand.
And one is called, I can't even now. It's our friend Aaron Allen. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Dang, Aaron,
Good gosh.
just know Aaron Allen.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is like I'm having a senior moment. But it's called The Boot. Written by Ben Holbrook.
Ah, yes, a former UNCG alum.
A UNCG alum who wrote it, and Aaron Allen gets a boot to the face in it.
Aaron
yes.
Allen, he'll be graduating with me for
Yes.
those who...
So, and we've shot part of that, but we've got to shoot the scene Sunday afternoon where Aaron comes into the classroom to confront the girl, the woman who threw the boot at him, and he's got a bloody nose and all this stuff. And so, so that's going to be quite a shoot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be there as an
yes,
extra.
you will, yeah.
So you'll see me in a little cameo.
Yes.
So when, how can people check them out when they're done?
I think the UNCG will provide some type of thing on the website to link to it, stuff like that. So we're shooting them all. For the last month we've been shooting them, and we should be finished shooting by maybe a week from now, and then I get all summer to edit them.
Okay, nice.
Which I'm going to need all summer to edit them.
By the time this comes out, it'll probably be in the summer.
Okay,
so
yes.
You'll be working on the films while you watch it.
So I'll be editing, and
Cool. So how can we follow you or follow the journey on, knowing when these are finished?
I'm not on any type of.
Just go to. I'll put in UNCG's
you take care of it. Yes, put on UNCG's website or check out Aaron Allen. We'll
you're gonna plug. Follow Aaron Allen. He'll have it for sure.
Yeah. So I am. Thankfully for some or most maybe I am. I don't have I have a Facebook, but I don't really participate. And I'm still. I'm still getting used to that world. So my wife's on Instagram.
By the time you get used to it, it's going to be long
I was about to say,
metaverse.
I'm gonna, I'll finally get going, and they'll be like, "What's that?"
No one's there anymore. They're all in the metaverse. Well, Mike Flannery, I appreciate it. Final question.
Yes.
When it's all said and done, what would you like your legacy to look like?
Wow, that's like you just wanted to like.
You gotta set him up and spike it. Ace.
Wow.
Tennis analogy for you.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that people would say, and maybe especially my children, but everybody, but especially my children would say that he made me feel better about myself. Now, I tell my kids a lot, my best hope for you all is you all say, he was kind of crazy and helpless and wasn't that great of a father in a lot of ways, but I do believe he loved me and he made me feel better about me. So yeah, that would be it.
Hey, that's all,
Yes,
what else can you say?
What else? That's it.
Making someone else feel better about themselves. I mean, that's a good way to leave a legacy for sure. Well, Mike Flannery, this is probably the most I've called him by his first name since knowing him. I usually call him Flannery or Flan Man. But yes, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insight, wisdom, and having this time with me and spending it. It was fun for sure.
That's great.
Thank you guys for another episode of watching, and I'll see you again. And peace, love, and blessings.
Peace.